This is the Conquering Hill podcast, and I'm your host, Nicholas Gagnier. And today I have a very special guest. His name is Shivam. Shivam is the author of How to Unleash Your True Potential and Finding the Magic in You. He's a certified emotional intelligence coach and trainer. Shivam has worked with over 500 people in 50 organizations to help them build and work on emotional intelligence, negotiation skills, communication skills, building inner confidence, and leadership strategies. He's also delivered keynote speeches for various organizations with a goal to help them introspect and not just motivate. Welcome to the program, Shivam. How are you?
Thank you so much, Nicholas, for this beautiful introduction. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic today. The sun is out finally over here in Massachusetts. Usually I'm in Panama, but today I'm recording from the United States. So it's very nice to have you on with us. So Shivam, how did you find yourself in this space of becoming a certified emotional intelligence coach and trainer? What inspired you to jump into that space?
Right. So that's a question that I usually get a lot, and that often comes up from a curiosity based nature. So I'm an aerospace engineer by profession. I used to be an aerospace engineer by profession. I did my PhD as an I'm on the verge of finishing my PhD in aerospace engineering, and I love science. I love everything about science, about understanding things, about why things happen in a particular way, about the physics of everything that happens. So the curiosity of finding the answers in everything that I do and everything that I see around me got me thinking about other parts of life as well, as in about our emotions, as it about our human behavior, as it about our thoughts, our beliefs, and everything that goes accordingly as well. So that curiosity of seeing things outside led me to become curious about the things that are inside. So while I was in the process of completing my master's in aerospace engineering, I started to explore more horizons on human behavior, about emotions, thoughts. And the more I read about things, the more I started to understand about those things, there's one conclusion that I drew. And that was eventually on the grounds that the more people are unaware about themselves, the more they tend to suffer. That means unawareness has a lot to do with human suffering. That means the more I'm not clear about what I want, naturally I'll be very stuck in what I want to do and I would end up suffering a lot. So this particular thought led me thinking about a lot of things, and eventually that led me into writing a lot of articles, and eventually the two books that you mentioned as well, How to Unleash Your True Potential and Finding the Magic in You. And they got to be pretty popular in India and some parts of USA as well. And eventually I started getting invited for lectures and talks and workshops and various other places for for growth mindset, for emotional intelligence, for understanding life and various other prospects of it. So eventually, that's how it basically started off. And then eventually, the more I started, again, like I mentioned, the more I read about it, learned about it, talked to people about it, everything boiled down to the core of emotions. That no matter what I do today, so basically, I would be running or walking or chasing a dream or chasing a relationship or just anything that could be it, everything is driven by the core of one particular thing, that is emotion. So if we conquer that particular understanding and awareness of emotions, automatically it becomes easier for us to manage other things as well. That is where emotional intelligence came into picture. So that's the whole entire journey of where it has come from being an aerospace engineer to now being an emotional intelligence life coach and trainer in different organizations as well. So it has been a very flip side of the journey. I know, from being an engineer from totally scientific perspective to here, but it has been a very fun perspective because even today we talk about the whole neuroscientific aspect of things, about exactly how brain works, about the patterns, the beliefs. So it has been a very exciting journey, and I'm loving every bit of it.
Yeah, that sounds like an incredible journey, right? It's when basically you are trying to dissect our own emotions and how we function and how we go about our lives. And you are right. It does boil down to emotions because however we are feeling, right, that is either how we're going to act out towards other people or how we're going to spend our day. If we're angry, we're upset, or we're happy, our whole mindset and how we speak to each other, how we think about ourselves will depend on how we are feeling, how our emotions are doing. In your book, Find the Magic in You,
Mhm.
is that are you trying to find your why, or are you trying to find that special thing inside of yourself that you can use to propel yourself to accomplish anything that you wish throughout your life, or describe what is the magic, right? Because
Mhm.
I always feel like, personally speaking, that magic in myself is that motivation that I can have, that can, that could help me propel uh, myself to do anything that I put my mind to, right? At the same time, staying true to myself.
Right.
Um, how would you describe the magic in you? Because I'm sure every single person has their own magic, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Exactly. That's the point about it. Like you very precisely said as well about finding your own true motivation. So, like you mentioned as well, that the finding the magic in your book is basically driven towards helping you understand about yourself, understand your why, understand your purpose towards it. And each one of us are driven by a different purpose, as in driven purpose, which is being driven by your own conditioning, by your own beliefs, by your own thoughts. So it's very important for us to understand what are the values that drive us as a person. And those values define us as the person we are today. A very funny example, a very simple example that I'll give you is that a person that all of us, eventually all of us, while you're working, we all want money, right? We all want to be rich. We all want to earn some money. We want to, some people want it more, some people want less, but we all want money at some cost. But each one of us want money for different reasons. Some people want money for pride. Some people want money for power. Some people want money for security. Some people want money for kindness. And let's say that I am a kind person and I want money. And then eventually you come down to me and you give me a really, really great deal of money that, okay, take this huge amount of money and this amount of money will kind of sort you for life. Your life would be very sorted. But my job would be to slap and to be rude and to beat up a lot of people, a lot of helpless people. Now, in that case, with value, my core value being kindness, my core value being empathy, no matter how much money I'm being given to do this particular task, I would never feel fulfilled with this particular job. I will never feel happy with this particular job. Even though I'm getting a huge chunk of money. And if you talk about logical thinking, that logical thinking would tell us eventually that it's a great deal. Take this money. But eventually, it all boils down to the values here. That even if I'm getting a huge chunk of money, if it is not connecting with my values, I would not be fulfilled about it. And I think that is a very core essence of life as well. That so many of us are stuck in certain jobs which we don't love at all, stuck in so many relationships that we don't feel inclined towards at all. And then we don't feel comfortable. Even though we're not able to take a step out of it or into it, we feel stuck, we feel unfulfilled, and which eventually takes a toll, and then we boil out, we burn down of it. So the core thing is to
Right.
understand your own value. What exactly the values that drive you? So finding the magic in is more driven towards helping you understand your own values. What is it that I want to do in my life? And with that understanding, obviously, a lot of things help out, and it helps you make a lot of better decisions as well.
Yeah, I mean, having those core values, being passionate about something that you really care about and that you want to, spend your life doing, working towards. If like you said, if you're going to a job and you're not
Yeah.
happy, um, it's that is going to take a toll on you, and it bleeds out into depression. Substance abuse,
Mhm.
or it's just you're in a bad toxic work environment, all those things, and it's like almost like it's spiritual suicide, a term from I'm stealing from Les Brown. Like that can that will take a toll on you, because if you're punching in every single day and you don't like your job, even though it might pay well to a certain extent, but if there's no fulfillment there,
Exactly.
it's you are only hurting yourself. And also with relationships, right? So if
Absolutely.
if your relationship's a one-way street, and it's not gonna last, it's not gonna fulfill your life. And I mean, obviously, in the United States, I think the divorce rate is like, I don't know, it's probably like above 50% right now. It's something
Mhm.
ridiculous. And whether or not that stems from, obviously not being on the same page. I'm not an expert in relationships, in
Mhm.
the sense that I'm on my
Mhm.
second marriage,
Mhm.
to be honest,
Mhm.
and I've never been happier. I found my true soulmate, but sometimes it does take
It does. Yeah.
more than one chance.
Absolutely, it does.
So, um, but I wouldn't change anything for the world how my life has been throughout it. I mean, I'm kind of the firm believer where everything kind of happens for a reason. But you know what? You also have to take risks in life, and if you're not willing to take those risks, you kind of see opportunities pass by, and you never want to look back and regret, like, I wish I would have tried that. I wish I
Exactly.
would have visited that country. I wish I would have gave I wish I would have tried to write that book when I was young, because you can never go back. You
Exactly.
can never go back and change things. So I take that risk. Don't be afraid of failure, because when you do fail, you are going to learn something along the way, probably more so about yourself, and that is the journey in life in a way, right? Finding yourself,
Exactly.
because we're all here, and there's all these other things, these is a full of bunch of bells and whistles. Everything's pulling you in different directions at all times, with social media and devices,
Hmm.
and working the 9 to 5 job, trying to have a family, trying to just live, put food on the table. So sometimes it's hard to sit back and relax for just a moment, take stock in who you are, what you're really trying to accomplish in this life, because in the end, we only got one shot.
Hmm. Exactly. Absolutely. That's the thing about it eventually. And we got to take it, like you mentioned as well, right? No matter, because we at times we end up attaching a lot of our worth towards the things we do. That means to our relationships or to our work or to a job, and that makes us very scared of taking new chances. So that means that even if I'm stuck in a very bad job, I might be so much worried about what people are going to say about me, what I'm going to say about myself. Will I feel unworthy about myself if I let go of this particular job? Will I, if I try something new and if I fail? There's so many questions that will be running in my mind that will stop me from taking new chances and doing new things which can actually make me happy. So we tend to be comfortable, we tend to kind of get stuck in the same process, the same mindset. But like you mentioned as well, that you have to be courageous. You have to eventually go out, step out of your comfort zone, do the things that are important for you. But again, like I mentioned as well, that it's very, very clearly important to understand the values that drive us as well. In the current lifestyle that we're living in right now, we live in the life of influencers. So everything's around, everyone is an influencer around here. So it's very easy to get influenced with people and by their own journey as well. That means if I open my Instagram, I could see a lot of couple goals, relationship goals, travel goals, job goals. Everything is a goal basically, right? And it would be very easy for me to get driven by those particular idea of what life should be like. But those values or those things do not define me. Maybe those are the things that define them, and they might be very, very happy with that particular life. But if I end up copying their life to feel happy with my life, I'm going to get devastated. My life would really, really, really be disappointing. So it's very important for us to identify first what exactly are the values that drive me. In those cases, the fear of missing out will also go out, and also we'll be able to be more confident in whatever we do, be it in a failures or be it in a success. We'll be very clear, very confident, and very aware of what are the steps we're taking, and then we'll not end up attaching our worth to whatever we do. So that will lead to more clarity, more confidence, and more awareness for sure.
Yeah, confidence is key for sure. Like, even if you not might be 100% sure in what you're doing, but if you're confident in yourself, that you have that belief, oh, I can do this. I'm going to do this. You will end up accomplishing that. You will succeed, because you have that confidence in yourself that you can do anything you put your mind to. I mean, if you have that inner self doubt, it's going to be very difficult for you to basically do anything, because you've already planted the seed that you're not going to be able to accomplish that. You're not going to be able to create that thing that you have set your mind to. So I think confidence goes a long way, whether it's work related, relationship based, or even in sports. All those things. If you
Exactly.
have a strong sense of confidence, it can definitely propel you in the right direction. Let me ask you about your other book, How to Unleash Your True Potential. So tell me a few secrets, right? How do we um, crack that code? How do we find our true potential?
Right. So the very first thing that we talked about, the role of values that in our life, the more we tend to understand ourselves, the more the better chances we have in our life to do the things that can actually give us or help us unleash our true potential. That means, like I mentioned as well, that if I see someone else trying to do something that makes them happy, and I just try to copy their lifestyle or their life process, I might get just end up getting stuck. The first goal would be to understand what do I really want in life, the whole understanding of values part, and then understanding those values to then implement those values into your own life. But then just understanding is not the only key. You have to implement them in your life as well. But the biggest problem that comes in those areas is getting stuck in the comfort zone. right? So our brain is hardwired to seek comfort in everything that we do, right? So if I'm let's say if I'm brushing my teeth with my right hand, my brain would automatically push me to use my right hand the next day I go to brush as well. It's natural brain's wiring for comfort zone. So the moment, even if I'm very clear and understanding and aware of myself, even then, if I try to do something new with my life, I would face a lot of uncomfortable situations, a lot of uncomfortable emotions, a lot of uncomfortable things as well. And eventually, I would feel stuck. I would not take any action at all. I would not be able to do anything at all with that particular process. So eventually, the goal would be what? The goal would be to drive that particular factor, about understanding what can I do to get out of the comfort zone as well. And that is where I believe understanding and working on a brain, understanding our patterns, understanding the beliefs that drive those particular things are really, really helpful. And in fact, that is the thing we do in our personal coaching sessions as well. So when we deal with coaching sessions with our personal clients or with our corporates as well, that is the very basic essence of what we work around. Understanding the belief system, understanding the thoughts that drive a particular person, and then trying to work on those particular things. What are the things that you're facing difficulty getting out of? What are the things that drive you as a person? What are the things that you're not able to get out of? So understanding those beliefs, the limiting thoughts, the limiting patterns, understanding them, working on them, help us a lot to actually do the things that are important for us, right for us, and then eventually unleash our true potential.
Yeah, the comfort zone. I mean, the more you can spend outside the your own comfort zone, the more change, the more the more you're going to your personal development is going to rapidly change, and you're going to find out a lot about yourself when you get out of your comfort zone, because
Absolutely,
in a sense everything's new, and that's why I kind of like to travel. I traveled a little bit throughout my life, and that was always an eye-opening experience, especially when you're going to a place where you don't really speak the
exactly,
language,
exactly,
right? And it depends, how old you are, but and new culture and all those things. But you're allowing yourself, to become a sponge to
absolutely.
this new
Mm,
place, right? So when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, you're kind of doing the same. You're allowing yourself to, you know, obtain and learn this different information. I mean, you might not get it all at once. It's the same thing as starting a new job, right?
exactly,
Because maybe you're nervous, the first few days, because you're not sure the proper protocols and how the operation functions every on a daily basis. But once you get in the groove, then you find out about, this wasn't that hard, it wasn't that
exactly,
difficult. I got it now. I got it now. So I think we have to become almost comfortable to step outside of our comfort zone in order to have that growth that we all need. Because I'm 40 years old right now. I'm not the same person as I was 30
absolutely.
or 20 or 15, right? Because I learned and I grew, and that's natural. Everyone is growing,
Exactly.
everyone is
We all are
learning,
evolving.
right? So if we can embrace that, I think, instead of trying to staying stuck in the past, and that's why I kind of feel like a lot of people, at least from where I grew up, some people, unfortunately, they've succumbed to addiction, and they've overdosed along the way, because I don't know what it was. I mean, I've experimented with drugs along the way as well, but like I was never stuck in,
Mm,
like, I had to, like, that was my crutch,
mhm.
or I had to keep using and all this kind of stuff. Like, you have to move on from
Absolutely.
certain things. Everything has its time and place. As a youth, you like to party or whatever else, and as you grow older, you have responsibilities. You gotta work. You gotta make some money. It's
Mhm.
not necessarily, you don't have to have a family per se, but as you get older in life, that's what something that you should want,
Yeah,
because that is life. You want to procreate. So I think I think that's a great point of just stepping out of that comfort zone and just understanding that it's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. This is life. If you're not learning anything, it's almost like being stagnant. In my book, is almost like you're kind of going backwards as the world's passing you by.
absolutely, absolutely. I think that's the same reason I love traveling as well. The fact that you tend to see so many new cultures, tend to listen to so many new languages, and tend to eat so many different sorts of cuisine as well. In fact, I always make it a point, no matter where I'm traveling to, I always make it a point to not have the same cuisine I order at my own in my own country. Because if I eat the same thing even there in a new place altogether, I would not be pushing myself to get out of the comfort zone. My brain would automatically not want to feel uncomfortable in that moment. I want to eat the same thing because I want to feel secure in that environment. I want to feel secure in the food I'm eating. But I don't want to take I want to take the particular risk, and I want to try out new things, no matter how bad or horrible it is. But I want to live that lifestyle, live that particular kind of thing. And that teaches me a lot of things. Teaches me a lot about understanding things, observing things, being compassionate about a lot of things as well. Uh, and again, I think it has transformed me as a person. I love traveling, and that's a very basic thing. I mean, if you talk about earning money, learning things, or doing anything like that, the very basic essence of it goes towards traveling. I love traveling. I want to explore the world. I want to do a lot of things about it. And I think nothing has taught me as much as traveling has.
Right, I agree with that, right? Is there a particular country that you always kind of look back on like, man, that country changed me or changed the way I look at this world?
Not exactly a particular country, because if you talk about India as well, India is a very big country, and with a lot of
Right.
cultural differences as well. In terms of country, of course, Thailand was something that I felt it was a very country with a different sort of origins and different types of outlook as well. There's one part of Thailand which is very party oriented, a very other type sort of thing as well. The other part of Thailand is mostly in driven the part of peace and tranquility and other things about it. Even the parts about India as well. There's North India, South India, East India, West India, and every bit of India. I mean, even if you travel 100 kilometers in India, there's a language change. There's a change in the way people eat their food as well. So there's a huge change that happens around it. So even if I talk about, I did my education from a different state, Indian state altogether. I did my master's from a different state altogether. I did my primary schooling from a different state altogether. So living in those particular states in different stages of my life was a very groundbreaking experience for me, because then I was able to grasp in a lot of information, learn a lot of things, new things about me, forget about the other person, more about me as well, to understand what are the things going inside of me, to explore new horizons, to experiment with a lot of things, and to challenge myself into doing a lot of things that are important for me as well.
Yeah, it's such a great thing, it's such as you said, right? India is a great is a giant country, and we live in a giant world as
Exactly.
well. So like if we have that opportunity to travel, I implore my audience to take that chance to travel as much as you can. I know it's not always easy because you're working that 9 to 5 and maybe you don't have the money saved up or you got responsibilities, but sometimes it's better to do it when you're young. My first trip, I was 20 years old. I left on my 20th birthday and I traveled to Europe for like 3.5 months.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And I backpacked across Europe with one of my friends, and it was an eye opening experience. And I realized, wow, there's this giant world out there. I want to travel some more. I want to live in a different country. And man, I tell you, I I'll say I wish I could do it
I
again,
can
but in a
imagine.
sense, like I wish I could do it again because it was so awesome, and I didn't know any. And other languages, I knew a few Spanish words. Now my Spanish is pretty good now, but like back then, like I had nothing.
Right.
Like I was a typical dumb American going across the European continent, and but it was still a great time. And now I look back on it, like that 3.5 months changed my life forever because now it expanded my horizons.
Absolutely.
I was out of my comfort zone and like I wanted to learn more about other, and I was more empathetic
Absolutely.
about other countries, about other people as well. So I think that angle too would definitely help a lot of people in this world. It's just a crazy
It
thing.
is.
So Shivam, so what do you have on your radar for the rest of 2023? What are your big goals?
The biggest goal for me in every year, I mean, it's not about 2023, it's about 2022 and 24 for that matter, every other year.
Uh-huh.
The only goal that I go and strive towards is learning more and teaching more, and being more curious
Good for
about
you.
certain things. Because again, a lot of other things fall into my path. I'm kind of a person who doesn't plan much, but I like to dive into the
Mhm.
experience. And I just try to keep myself connected to the very core values that I love, that are curiosity, learning, and teaching. And I make sure that these three are a part of my life, no matter what I do. So my personal coaching sessions, my corporate sessions, going to university, going to schools, talking to people, talking to students, reading new books all the time, trying to watch new documentaries, talking to people like you here. So again, those are the things that definitely excite me a lot. And eventually that's what I do to keep on making me connected to those values. Again, like I mentioned, I don't have any clear goal about any particular point. I never I never make goals, big goals for that matter. But again, I try to keep myself connected to those values, and that keep my boat floating, and that I love the most.
Wonderful, wonderful. Back in Panama at my hostel, I have in one of my rooms. Uh, it was originally a room that I had four beds, a dorm room in it, and above the door, I painted, "How are you getting better today?"
Mhm.
So like every single time someone would read that when they walk out that room, and I still think about
Yeah,
that all the time. Even if as you said, you want to stay curious, you want to keep learning, you want to keep staying true to your core values. If along that way, if you're getting better every single day and you're moving in the right direction, in a sense, you are being successful. You are living the maybe not necessarily up to your full potential, but you're getting better, and that's a lot to say because not the majority of people, they're not getting better every
exactly.
single day, and sometimes I'm a culprit as well, and sometimes I have one of those days where I don't accomplish much,
We all
and
do.
then I look at myself like I should have done something better that day, but then I'm more inspired the next day to go, that AKA beast mode towards that day. So like you can't you want to strive for perfection, but perfection is almost like
Impossible.
very very difficult, yeah, impossible to obtain. So like as long as you are staying true to yourself and your passions, and you are trying to get better every single day, that's pretty much all you can ask for in this life. Because you know what, like I'll go back to it. We only got one shot at this,
Exactly.
so it's very important. It's very
Yeah.
important. So I want to say, did you get engaged this year? Did you get married this
No, I
year?
have been married for the last 3 years now. 4 years.
3 years, 4 years, 4 years. I was like I reached out to, when I first started this podcast, I reached out to a bunch of people via Twitter, like yourself. I started searching people that were into motivational speakers, business mindset, personal development, and there was some people, they I just said I hadn't even started, didn't have a single podcast recorded yet, and some people were more accepting than others, obviously, and I want to say someone said, I'll get back to you, I'll get back to you. And that's why I got confused with someone saying I'm getting married and I'm a little tied up and all this kind of jazz. So as far as being married, though, now that we are
Hmm.
on this subject, um, isn't that a beautiful thing when you find a true soulmate, and every single day you get to spend the rest of your life with that
It's
person?
the most beautiful feeling in the world. I mean, that's no doubt, no second doubt about it. I think when you find the right person for yourself, your life transforms. And I think that's the same goes for me as well. So we have been married for the past 4 years, but again, we have been together for the last 9 years. So I think we have been together. We have learned a lot from each other. We have grown a lot with each other. We have done a lot of things, seen a lot of things, learned a lot of things, and we are there for each other in terms of understanding, learning, growth, and so many things. Like, and that's what I mentioned. Like you mentioned as well, that finding the right person, finding the right partner can be a life changing experience for you, and it can be a very strong and a beautiful thing, because a lot of times I tend to see people making fun of the idea of the marriage or relationships, or the fact about how marriage can be boring or monotonous or things like that and this and that. But I think with the right person, when you are able to find the right person and when you're able to involve yourself with the process as well, because I believe as much as it is important to get the idea of being involved in good marriage, it is equally important to surrender to the idea of learning new things, because eventually you're getting married to a person, especially if it's a heterosexual relationship. You're getting married to someone, getting close to someone who is from a different gender, from a different conditioning, from a different set of beliefs. And unless and until you are open to the idea of surrendering yourself to growth, you'll always be rigid to controlling and protecting your own set of beliefs. But marriage or any certain relationship becomes so beautiful when both of the partners are able to surrender and then try to bloom into a new flower altogether. So I think that act of acceptance, awareness, and surrender makes it so beautiful. I think I've been very lucky to find someone like that, and it has worked out beautifully for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. Yeah, it's just an amazing experience, and I hope and everyone listening, if you're not in in a beautiful marriage that you can find that true soulmate, because it is a beautiful thing. Because you learn, you learn to grow together, and which is just unbelievable, right? Because you're changing, they're changing, your relationship blossoms. It's just such a beautiful thing, and if you're lucky to have kids along the way, children along the way, that's even
Absolutely.
better. It's I wouldn't change anything in the world. I feel very grateful that I met my wife Stephanie along the way, and she's the one that threw out the idea of starting a
That's really wonderful.
podcast. Because originally I I started January 1st. I'm like, I always talked about, wrote down this goal years ago of becoming a motivational
Hmm.
speaker, and I kind of put it off based out of fear. Maybe didn't want to get in my comfort zone. I thought maybe I wasn't good enough. She's like, Nick, why don't you? I started making some
Hmm.
videos, and she's like, Nick, why don't you just start a podcast, and maybe you can reach a bigger audience, and you could, it'd be a great way to meet new people, and she was right again. She had a great idea. She's always got great ideas,
Hmm.
and so I've really enjoyed being on this journey. Enjoyed speaking with you today, Shivam as well, and hopefully in the future we can reconnect
Absolutely.
along the way. Are you working on any other
Yes, I
books?
am, but I've just started it, so might take some time now.
All right, all right. Well, please stay in touch
I
when
surely
that's
will.
when you're ready to publish it. I'd love to have you back on, and we can discuss further
Certainly.
about your new ideas. And I truly appreciate your time
Thank
today.
you so much. It was really, really lovely talking to you as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take
You
care.
too.
And if you would like to support the podcast, please visit Amazon.com and search Conquering Hill 50 writing prompts for a dream chaser. And also visit Etsy.com and search Conquering Hill for all our gear. Thank you so much.